So the next mini tactic he talks about is moving towards the objection.
Ooh, so moving towards the objection.
Yeah.
So like running towards it or running into it?
You know, sometimes it's the best. So sometimes it's better to move towards an objection rather than away from it, to embrace the charge rather than run from it. Don't evade, invade.
Oh, wow.
I like it. Embrace it, undermine its relevance, and take the wind out of its sails. In certain situations we face, that's good advice. And so this is an idea of, you're talking about something like, you know, are there conflicts in the Bible? And so, you know, you've watched this person debate before, or you know where they're coming from, and you can say, oh, I know he's going to say such and such person who is a Christian also agrees with my understanding that there are conflicts in the Bible. And so you can say, I know what my opponent's going to say here, and you know, I don't hold to that same position, and so let me say that he's mistaken in these areas. And so you present kind of a positive case for why that view doesn't comport with what you're presenting. And so you're kind of saying, now I know where you're going, and so let me cut it off at the knees here so that we can move on to something that I do believe, or something that's important, or you know, trying to stay on track of certain things. So you know, Martin Luther said this about the Romans. Well, wasn't he also anti-Jewish? No, I know what you're going to say is he was anti-Jewish, but you know, that doesn't have any pro or con for what we're talking about here.
Right. So this one, you know, you kind of agree with them because, you know, to a certain extent they may be right, but you show that their objection is irrelevant. Right. Right. That's the basic idea of this one. Right.
And so he says that I know Christians who are stumped when atheists charge, there are a lot of gods you don't believe in too. Zeus, Jupiter, Thor. We atheists just believe in one less god than you. And it turns out the atheist is exactly right on this point, but it does him no good. Okay, sure.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You know, you're right. You do believe in one less God than I do. Okay, fine.
Believing in one less God than a monotheist is what distinguishes atheists from Christians.
Yeah, that's why I'm a Christian and you're an atheist.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
A equals A. Nothing meaning follows from the observation. The flummoxed Christian could simply say, yes, you're right. You do believe in one less God than I do. That's what makes you an atheist and me a Christian. Yeah. We already know that. So what's your point? Then watch the challenge fizzle. And so he gives a lot of his examples here. Yeah. And I was like, for my response to this one is, that's absolutely true. You believe in one less true answer than I do. It's just like 2 + 2 = 4. I don't believe all the other possible answers. I do believe it's 4. You just believe in one less answer than I do, right? Yeah. We can't have any ideas.
So he gives a number of these. The church is filled with hypocrites, you know. Okay, let's move toward the objection, right? Actually, the church is filled with worse people than hypocrites, right? There's liars and swindlers and fornicators and adulterers, drunks and self-centered egoists and sinners of all sorts. That's why they need Jesus, right? So you move toward the objection. In other words, you agree with them and then show why the objection is irrelevant, right?
There are 130,000 words in the New Testament, but there are more than 400,000 variant readings, mistakes, differences, and errors.
Wow.
That's what Bart Ehrman writes.
Yeah.
Well, you know where Bart Ehrman got that number from? Dr. James White, who actually made him increase the number. But there's importance to variants, and there's whole studies on why variants are important. And in fact, the very reason that we can call them variants is because we know what the originals were. Yeah. And so the variance is a better attestation of where we got the Gospels, the New Testament writings, the Old Testament writings, than we have for, say, like the Quran. That ends itself at the Uthman revision, and we kind of don't really have anything past then. And so it's hard to talk about, well, you know, what do we know was in the originals? And so these variants help us to understand that. That's great. Yeah. That's something that we should want to talk about. In fact, that helps our case.
Right. There's so much evil and suffering in the world. How can there be of God? Right? So much evil and suffering. So let's move toward the objection. Of course, there's so much evil in the world, right? So we're moving toward the objection. We're agreeing with them, right?
We agree.
That's why you'd expect, if the Christian account is true, the Bible doesn't just explain it, it predicts it. We live in a world Humans broke, and a broken world produces broken people and broken situations. So we've moved toward the debate, and actually it's helped our cause, right? So we don't have to be afraid. Sometimes we can agree with what they're saying because it is true,
right?
And we can show it's irrelevant, and we can show how it helps our cause, right?
Yeah. Things like your God committed genocide when he destroyed the Canaanites, which I never understood why this was such a big thing, but I guess this is a Christians owned argument. Of course, God destroyed them. If you had witnessed the things they did, including burning thousands of children and even infants alive in sacrifice to Moloch, you would have asked, how could there be a God that allows these people to do such evil? It wasn't genocide, it was judgment.
Judgment, not genocide, right?
And so is God able to decree different forms of judgment? Yes, just like how he can send in sulfur and fire to burn up two cities, he can send his people, an army, to go and cleanse the land and make it a motif that points towards Jesus. Yeah, and so that's what a lot of the Old Testament is, and so that's what the New Testament writers also view. So a naysayer's objection is often meant to push us off balance and put us on the ropes.
Right.
In some cases, though, rather than go to the defensive, it's best to cast the negative as positive. Tell them they're right, then show them it doesn't work in their favor the way they think it does. Help them see that their complaint is not ultimately relevant decisions or damaging when seen in the proper perspective.
Right. Wow, that's a good one.
What do you know?
Yeah.
Worldviews matter.
Yeah. So move toward the objection, right? Move toward the objection.